Okay, so today what we will be going through is stress management. Okay, why do we actually add stress management as one of the attributes to personality development? Because if we look at stress management, what is stress? What is stress according to us? Stress is something on which we write, okay? Everything that we do is having stress. And I don't say that we should not have stress, okay? The stress should be there, but the optimum amount of stress is required. If we are scaling stress on a point of 0 to 10 and minus 10, if we are over here, we are having no stress at all with us, that means the work, if this is the stress parameter that we are looking forward to, and if the work profile is over here, if we are standing over here and we do not have stress, that means we are overconfident, okay? When it goes from below 0, we are overconfident of doing anything. And if we are overconfident, the work might or might not be done. Okay? But if we are having the mid value, that is, let's say 5 out of 10. If I say 5 out of 10, we are having the mid value, the work will be done because it's a two-way scenario. Okay? If you are under stress, you know you have to perform, and that's very much important. Okay, because you need to understand the sequences and the consequences that will fall upon if you are not having stress. So a mid value of stress or an optimum value of stress that you have is very much required to do your work. But if you are having too much stress, if you are having around 9 out of 10 stress, that means that you won't be able to perform. Because you are not confident enough, you are having an overload of stress. And when you have the overload of stress in your mind, it does not only hamper your work, but it also hampers your health. Okay? And what we say is health is all the wealth that we have. So if you are having a lot of stress on your mind, if I say that this is your brain that we draw, then if you are having a lot of stress on your mind, you might not be performing well in your particular field or whatever work you are doing. The same way, there will be a lot of medical consequences that will follow, like headaches, nervous breakdown, heart attacks, high blood pressure, etc. So these things are what will compete with stress. So what I want to tell you is that if you're having an optimum value of stress, that's really very important for your work to be done. Because if we are not having stress, let's say I have a dream in my life, I have a goal in my life, and I do not have any stress. Why? Because I'm overconfident. Will it work? No, it won't work. Because I'm a common man. There's no godfather. My name is not Ratan Tata. My name is not Amitabh Bachchan. Okay? I am not someone from Microsoft. Okay? I'm not the Bill Gates, that everything will fall in its place on the time. We are the common man, and for the common man it's very important to understand the value of the stress, because if we do not have stress at all, that means we are free. We do not have anything to do. So in that scenario, the mid value of stress is very important because it keeps you on the track. When I say the mid value, it keeps you on the track. Why on the track? Because you know the pros and the cons when you are not able to perform. You know both the pros and the cons. If you are not able to perform, you know what you are going to fall short of, and if you are able to perform, what you will gain. So what I say is that the mid value of the stress is very important. At the same point of time, when you have overconfidence and you are not having stress, or you are having a minimal amount of stress, that means two things. Either you are already on the path of your dream, or you are not at all concerned with your dream. It's just a dream and you do not want it to materialize. So what I say, that the two things One is the daydreaming. You have the daydream that one day an angel will fall from the sky and do wonders for you. Or the second thing is you are already on the path. Okay, like Amitabh Bachchan. If we take the example of Amitabh Bachchan, when he goes on the stage to perform, he has got a minimal amount of stress on him. Why? Because he has proved himself. He's the actor of the millennium. If we say King Khan, if we go ahead with King Khan, we see that he knows how to perform. He knows how to capture the audience. He knows how to connect with the audience. In the same manner, if we go to the businessmen like Ratan Tata, we see that Ratan Tata is able to do a wonderful work in whatever sphere he puts his hand into. Why? Because he has got the experience, he has got the brilliance, and he has got the network. So he's already on the path. So such people are already on the path and they have a minimal amount of stress on them. But for us right now, as beginners to personality development, let's understand that if we are having a minimal amount of stress, the work wouldn't be done. And it's very important that the dream should be materialized and it should not be a daydreaming. So the dream should materialize that we go ahead and get whatever we want in our life. So coming to stress, what is stress actually? Now stress is the body's automatic response to any physical or mental demand placed on it. The second thing which I want to say is adrenaline. Now we are getting into the biological facts of whatever stress is. Adrenaline is a chemical naturally produced in our body as a response to stress. Now when is this adrenaline produced? It's a kind of hormone. If we are driving a car and suddenly a cat comes in front and we are driving on a speed of 80 kilometers per hour and a cat comes in front of the car suddenly we apply the brake and the adrenaline is released in our body. Okay, it does help us to cope up with stress. We get our ears red, we get our face red, the blood pumps out, okay, into our head more frequently with a high volume, but we are able to understand and take quick actions. For that, the hormone is known as adrenaline. Now, fight or flight responds to the implicit. Now when I come to stress, I would like to tell you that there is a biological explanation and also there is a philosophical explanation for stress. And both combined, you get the best out of it. Now the definition of stress, if we go ahead with the definition of stress, is a combination of thoughts and worries that have negative effect on the body's response. Now when I call it as a negative effect, what does it say? We also, when I'm talking, you might think that if I'm saying the definition of stress is a combination of thoughts and worries that have a negative effect on the body's response, then if I'm taking stress and I want to get the work done, why should I have the mid-value if we are having the negative effect on our body? Because you are worried. What is the negative effect? You are worried of the pros and the cons, the outcome, the consequences which will fall in time. So if you are really worried about how the work will be done, you will do the work. As we have seen small kids, when they go and appear for examinations, they get a phobia. Right? The examination phobia. What enforces them to study more than what they used to study in the earlier hours? Might be it was 1 hour per day, but when exams come, the examination phobia enforces them to go ahead and do a 4-hour study every day. So there is a negative effect, there is a stress on their mind, but it is a negative enforcement. What we call in the management language, it's known as the negative reinforcement. Like for an example, if you go ahead with management studies, you will see that it is known as a positive reinforcement and a negative reinforcement. What is a positive reinforcement? If a boss likes a worker, okay, his co-worker, and the work is being done wonderfully, and the boss understands that if a positive response is given to the co-worker, he will work better because he's self-motivated, he's creative, and he's ambitious. So he gives him a positive reinforcement. He tells, wonderful job done, and if you go ahead in the same manner, you will do wonders, I'm sure. You will crown the name of our company and bring laurels to it. And what is reinforcement at the same point of time? The next co-worker might be the co-worker B. Mr. B is a lazy person. He doesn't want to do his job. He's not satisfied with his work profile. So what negative reinforcement is being done with that worker? The boss will go to Mr. B and tell, look, Mr. B, if you do not complete the task by the end of the day, we will have to report to the senior management, because you have been delaying the work for a long time and we cannot take it anymore. It comes to the cost and the revenue that have to be generated for the organization. So Mr. B gets very stressed out. He says, oh my God, if he calls the senior management and if I'm going to be thrown out, whatever money I'm earning right now will be gone. So this is a negative reinforcement which pushes him to do the work. Although Mr. B is a lazy person, but the negative reinforcement given to him, because the boss understands the psychology of Mr. B and Mr. A, where Mr. A is motivational, okay, he's enthusiastic, he loves his job and he's very ambitious, and B is lazy, dissatisfied and doesn't love his job. So B will be given the negative reinforcement so the work is done, and A will be given the positive reinforcement. And that is the same thing when we are talking about stress. It is the negative reinforcement that is given to the people. Now, negative reinforcement helps you to cope up with your work and do it in a better manner. What do you think when you are stressed? What do you think? When we are stressed, we think about the negative side always. When we are stressed, like for an example, if we are having an audition tomorrow, or if we are having an examination tomorrow and we are not prepared, or we have not done any course, any module, or any training on that, we are paranoid. Why we are paranoid? Because we do not know ABC of what is going to happen tomorrow. We are stressed out. We do not look at the pros, but we look at the cons. What are the cons? It's a risk factor that we are going to take. What is the risk that we are going to take? It might be yes or no. And it's 90% no when you are having the fear that I have not prepared for it. So that's the thought which is going on in your mind. Now, what do you feel when you are stressed? What do you feel? It is a feeling of paranoia. You know, you are paranoid when you think, oh my God, I was not able to do my work in the first place. I am not ready for this right now. So what happens next is a wrong or a negative impact that will fall in my life. So when I call stress, let me put it up with the risk factor. When you are looking at the risk factor, you know what your daydreaming will turn into. If you daydream, okay, if you think in your mind that I'll be a superstar, a super businessman, a super anchor tomorrow, and you do not prepare for it, okay, nothing will fall into your hand, because it is the risk factor that you will have with the daydreaming. You cannot materialize things because you go through a process, a certain steps. You know, a certain step is taken from the very beginning. Step 1, step 2, and then till step 100. And if you do not have step 1 to 10, you are ought to fall very quickly. As we see the phases of stress, what are the phases of stress? Alarm, sudden response to danger. As I gave you an example of if you are riding a car at a speed of 80 miles per hour and suddenly a cat comes in front of your car, what is the next thing that you are going to do? It's an alarming situation. That is a sudden response to the danger which is in front of you. You know, and adrenaline is rush followed by quick decrease when danger passes. So when danger passes, the biological factors, adrenaline, the hormone which has been released, comes down automatically. Now vigilance, stay alert. Response level does not go down immediately. Because you have already seen the cat coming in front of your car suddenly, so it won't be that you will, the moment the cat passes away, you will speed up to 80 miles per hour again. No, it will stay for some time. You will be vigilant, okay? You will be very much stressed and you will be very much specific in what distance you are going to cover and what will be the speed for the next half an hour. That's very important. Now, what I want to tell you in stress is when you are vigilant, it builds up your body fluids, okay? Because you are alert, you are on your toes. So these are the phases when we come up to all the stress matters. Now, is all stress bad? That's the question. Moderate level of stress may actually improve performance and efficiency, as I have already informed you. A mid-value of stress will help you. Do not be overconfident. You know what I have seen in the industry is people mostly are overconfident. Might be if you take it a management industry, people are confident because they're coming from IIMs. People in engineering industry, they have come from IIT, so they are merit holders and they're very confident. But if you look at the statistics and if you look at the data, you will find how many of IIM people and IIT people are still unemployed. Why so many IITians club together and start up a business? Why? Because in the first place they were not able to crack a GD and were not able to go ahead with any job. That was the problem that they were facing. And that is why the same thing happens with IITians. And the same thing happens with all the top management, let it be IIM, XLRI, Nasi Bonji, any of the colleges which you take. Okay, if you're overconfident, if you're not stressed at all, if you think I have a very good body, I have a very good voice, I can have the best accent in the world around me, and I have the best thing, that is acting. If you come to the acting industry, you know you are ought to fail. Why you are ought to fail? Because if you see people in the film industry particularly, as we are going through a phase of the fame industry right now, do you think Nana Patekar has got the best voice? Nana Patekar has got the best body? Or Nana Patekar has got the best look? No. But do you know he's one of the top Bollywood stars till date? If he comes in a TVC ad also, it is flashed out everywhere. Why? It's not because you are having a good body, you are having good looks, you are having a good accent, or you are having a good acting experience. It's all about how you perform when you're asked to. It's about your performance at the moment. We call it the moment. Okay? The moment. If you are given something, what do you do at that particular time? That's very important. Any task, any project given to you, what do you do at that particular point of time? It's very important. Nothing else will matter. Nobody will ask your father, who's your mother, what was your grandfather, how is the economical background of your family, how is your health report. No, nobody is going to ask. Nobody is interested in that. Nobody wants to listen to your accent. Nobody wants to look how good body or physique you are maintaining. No, they want to say, okay dear, come here, you have come here for something. You have been given this task. If you can do it, let's go ahead. Otherwise, thank you for coming. Have a great day. That's the rejection what we see. So if you have a stress, the moderate level of stress that I call as the mid or the optimum value of stress may actually improve the performance and efficiency of your performance at the moment. And when I call the moment, it's the moment when you have to change your dreams into materialization. You actually have to materialize things. You have to prove yourself that you are the best. If you keep on saying I'm the best, I'm the best, I'm the best, it doesn't matter. Who tells I'm the best? Okay? If other people say you are the best, that matters. If you say I am the best, that doesn't matter. And if you say I'm the best, you're already at 9 out of 10. You have a lot of confidence over yourself. That is why you're not able to perform. Because you think it's a very simple task which has been given to me, but whatever the other person is trying to get out of you, you're not able to give him or her that. And the moment passes away. We always have to understand the moment. It's stress, okay? The moderate or the optimum amount of stress which will turn into a better performance. Too little stress may lead into boredom. If you are having a very small amount of stress, it will be a negligence of whatever you are trying to do, whatever work you are assigned. It will be a boredom kind of thing. You are bored whatever you were asked to do, so you are not able to perform at the moment. Too much stress may cause unproductivity, anxiety level. Alright, because you are over 9 out of 10 and you're very anxious that yes, the next answer is going to be you are selected. But it's anxiety that you're having. It may not help you to get the job and you will be very unproductive. Identify stressors. What are stressors? Situations, activities, relations that cause the trauma to one's physical, emotional or psychological self. So stress has got three things. One is the physical, which we call. The second thing is the emotional that we have. And the third thing is psychological. Okay? When you get to these three things, one is physical, the second emotional, and the third thing is psychological, all the three things are the identifiers of the stress. And what are stressors? If we go on, whether if it's a school, a work, family, relations, legal, finances, health or illness, environment or a living situation, those are known as the stressors. Now, predictors of stress. What are the predictors of stress? If we want to predict stress coming up to us, what are the predictors? Negative situations. Okay? Positive situations. As I was already talking to you about negative reinforcement and positive reinforcement, these are the predictors. Now, the personality. Some are less able to adapt to stress. Introverts do not actually habituate well, and less reactive people can handle stress. Now, hassleness. When regular demands are there and you face a lot of inconveniences, that is the predictor of the stress. Now, when we see the negative signs of the stress, we see the emotional signs. When we feel the inability to adapt ourselves to the stress, we also see the sadness, the depression that is going on over us. We also have the empathy with the other situation that is already there with us, so that we put ourselves in the shoes of the other. The anxiety, as I said to you, the anxiety is very important, because if you are not anxious enough, the moderate value of anxiousness is required, you will fall out, okay? And those are the material things which will put negative signs on the stress. What is the behavior that when you look at the stress? What is the behavior actually what we see? The behavior is either a positive reinforcement or a negative reinforcement. If we have got positive reinforcement, that means we are more self-motivated, we are ambitious, and we love the work we do. And negative reinforcement is given when we see that we are bored of our job. We are not motivated at all. And when we do not love our job. That is why it is always said that you need to love your work. Negative signs of stress might be physical, that is sleep too much or too little, weight issues, headaches, migraines, digestive problems, aches and pains, get sick more because of the immune system is low, over self-medicated, now injuries and physical exhaustion that you can face. These are the physical things that you will face. Now, the emotional is mood swings. When you are in stress, your mood swings will be a lot. The anxiety that you have within yourself will be a lot. And it can lead to depression as well. That is why I said if you are having too much stress on your body, it will lead to depression, headaches, migraines, and also heart attack with high blood pressure. Those are the negative signs. When I say coping up with stress, very important point. What and how do you cope up with stress? When I say coping up with stress, it actually goes to the parameter from 0 to +10 and -10. Time and situation management. You understand the time and situation. What is the time and what is the situation that you are put into? Very important. Gather feedback about how you spend time, how you can measure how you spend your time. And the most important thing in coping up with stress is priority. When you are able to prioritize your work, okay, from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you will be able to cope up with stress. Why? Because you will know how to break the ice. Because we will also be going ahead with how to face your fear, which is very important. In that case, you know how negative and positive reinforcement helps you to cope up with stress. So coping up with stress will have two of the parameters. Those are, first one, the time and the situation you are put into, and the second one, if you are able to prioritize your activities in your life. Right? Now, when we come ahead with coping up with stress, we see conjunctive methods as well. Now, change how you think. How do you change the thought process that you are having? How do you repropagate that whatever you are doing is right or wrong? Okay, so the thought process actually takes you a long way. You need to understand how important is the task that has been assigned to me right now. Okay, how important it is for the moment. When I am calling it again and again, it's the moment. How do you understand the priority of the stress? Now, managing stress is body relaxation exercises, breathing techniques, guided imaginary. When you imagine something, in a mood swings, you can actually take yourself mentally somewhere else rather than your physical presence. So you actually are in a better position when you think about the pros. So that is managing your stress. Physical exercise like yoga has worked out a lot, and the workout routine which helps to oxygenate your blood and helps your entire body to relax in a better manner. The most important is meditation. If you can do the breathing exercise few times, you will be able to manage stress very easily. And counseling, if you are not able to manage yourself on your own, counseling is always there. Talk therapy. You talk to someone, might be your father, your mother, your best friend, whoever it is. You talk your heart out. Okay, tell him or her the situation that you're going through. And then they will give you the best option. That is also known as the life coaching. The other helpful tips which you can also have is changing perceptions and expectations. When you change the perceptions, what is the perception? It's a notion which is there already in your mind, embedded through generations. So if you change the perception and the expectation that you have from a particular person, will actually help you to cope up with stress. Now break jobs, alright, tasks into manageable parts. If you are given a job break it into parts, and then you prioritize and then you work. That is why I said time and situation, which is the most important for the moment. And then it comes to set reasonable and realistic goals. Okay, do not go on daydreaming. I always say in my sessions that people go on daydreaming a lot. Why? Because they have habit of going ahead of time. They dream a lot. Okay, dream is good. Everything starts with a dream. But do not daydream. Okay, please put your reasonable and realistic goals into place so that they can be materialized one day or the other. Avoid procrastination and set boundaries to your work and yourself. It can be either physical, emotional, or psychological. You have to set boundaries for yourself. Don't compromise your values and beliefs. Whatever you have, when I say belief, a faith which I have that I can and I will. If you compromise with that, you will be left nowhere. Schedule the me time. What is the me time? It is the time for yourself. Okay, if I talk about motivation, if I talk about growing on yourself, it's about the me time that we are having. Now, communication attributes of less stressed people. The 4 C's are very important. One is commitment. The second thing is control. The third thing is the challenge. And the fourth thing is continuousness. When you are having something, when you are having the communication with someone, you need to understand what is the commitment that you are making. After the commitment is made, you need to understand what is the priority and how you can go ahead with it. Alright? So, belief of stress management. Physical health gets better. If you have stress management in place, you will see that your physical health will get better. You will have more energy and stamina. You will have the emotional stability and ability to focus on your task. Okay, those are the most important things which you can see. Just relax, understand what is the scenario, how important the time is, what situation you are put into, and how important is the work for you. So coming to the next one, we see that after the relaxation, we have seen the stress management pyramid. If you know about the pyramid, which is actually about think differently. Okay, if you think differently, you're out of the crowd. All of my sessions till date have been about out of the box. Okay, I do not say think out of the box. I say stand out of the box. You know, you don't need to be one among the crowd. You need to be ahead than the crowd. You need to be apart from the crowd. So think differently. If you think different, you will be able to make a presence of your personality, and you will be able to go ahead with all the best you have in your future. So coming to the stress management again, to recap it, a moderate or an optimum value of stress is very important. You should not have less because it will go to boredom. You should not have more because it will lead to unproductivity and anxiety. And you should always remember that the stress, too much stress on your mind is going to hamper your health as well, like high blood pressure, headaches, migraines, even heart attacks. And there are 3 kinds of stresses, which can be a physical, emotional, or psychological. And you should always remember to be at the moment to prove yourself so that your dreams come into reality. And the last thing is coping up with stress. You need to understand the time and the situation you are put into, and you should be able to prioritize your work. That is very important for stress